It's time to join Montana's very own and your voice for agriculture, Talkin' Ag Lane Nordland, for today's Lanecast.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Lanecast Ag Podcast. And as we move throughout August 2025, the cattle market, it remains strong. And rain, well, it keeps falling here at our place in north central Montana. 1.5 inches of rain on Saturday evening for us. Sympathies to the farmers out there trying to get their crop up, but it's pretty green out here, middle of August, which does not happen a lot. Today, we're joined by Mr. Ty Thompson with the Northern Livestock Video Auction. They just held their early fall preview. We're going to break down how that market looked here today, but just a mention that coming up in February, it's more than a convention. It's where the cattle industry comes together. CattleCon 26 hits downtown Nashville, actually February 3rd through the 5th. So when we get into the exact dates, they're going to have cattle industry expert insights, a great trade show, and world-class knowledge all there in Nashville. CattleCon, it's where the industry comes together. Visit CattleCon online to get registered today. But Ty, as we focus on these markets here today, the first few lots that sold were some very light calves, 405 weight steer calves, October delivery out of Cody, Wyoming area, the 2 Dot Ranch. They brought $607.50 a hundredweight. There was over 780 head. What was that feeling like watching those 4-weight calves bring over $6 today?
Well, Lane, it seems like every month we talk about it and you watch people's market report. It's just records every single day. And is outstanding. Those 2 Dot calves, I've handled them for 20 years probably now, and they're always reputation. They always sell really, really good. But in fact, I was talking to a buyer before we started, and he's kind of, well, what do you think they're going to bring? I said, oh, they're going to sell. And he says, well, what do you bet? And I said, well, I say north of $5.50, south of $6. Well, I missed it by a little bit, but it really good demand. I mean, there's 5 people bidding at $5.75 or $5.80 on those cattle. So it just shows the demand. And light cattle, the yearling deal has been so good for people for the last 3 or 4 years. That's one thing I'd kind of bring to mind. I hear so many people that are thinking about selling their cows and going to go to a yearling deal. You might think about that just a little bit, because buying these yearlings and these stocker cattle to stock these places is getting really, really spendy, even though it's been awful good the last 3, 4, 5 years. This cow deal with the calf side is the bread and butter right now.
Now, a lot of folks are asking, even those of us in the industry, is how can these prices continue to climb higher? We know there's a shortage, but how can feeders continue to pay these prices? What is your view of that? Obviously, you're making money on the per head basis down in feedlot country, maybe not on the pound basis. What's your observation on that? What are your thoughts when you're having discussions with folks?
Well, we have a perfect storm going right now. I mean, everyone talks about how short we are of cows, which is true, but we still produce a lot of beef. I mean, we're an extremely efficient industry that produces a lot of beef. What we have going now is unprecedented demand. When you get someone to walk in and give $8, $9, $10 for a pound of hamburger and leave a $2 pork chop sitting there on the shelf, that's unprecedented demand. And it's not slowing down. It's good. And then what has added fuel to the fire is the corn crop in all areas of the country is expected to be record breaking. And so when you get these cattle at these high levels and you can get that much for your gain, it just fuels the fire. How long will it last? Nobody knows. Did we ever dream it would get this high? No. But it's here and it's working. There's going to be some things happen that knock it back a little bit. Are we looking at a big wreck ahead of us? I'm not too worried about that, but we could definitely see some setbacks when they're in this high of levels. I mean, a $20, $30 setback is nothing percentage wise, but we sure haven't had one for the last 2, 3 years. It's just up, up, up. And this year's been every month just higher, higher, higher. And what interests me is, there in 16, 17, 18, 19, we'd have these great big sales and we'd grind all day long, and there's no grinding. There's so many people trying to buy these cattle, and it's just a good feeling, and it's great for our rancher customers, and the feedlot guys are making money too. So hopefully it'll keep going.
A question that so many producers are asking, is there a perfect number of cattle out in the countryside, say on the beef cattle end of things, to support prices? Because you've said it before, Joe Goggins has said it before, it's time for the cow calf guy to be in the driver's seat, and we are. Is there a perfect size, in your opinion, as we look at the what beef cow numbers are to keep those prices at $2,000 for cow calf guys in the countryside? What are your conversations like on that front? That's just a question I get asked a lot from cow calf producers as we look ahead. Is there a perfect price range and a perfect size for the U.S. cattle herd? Are we going to get too greedy and rebuild too fast? I don't know.
I don't see the rebuild. When you ask what the perfect size is, I'd say right now this must be the perfect size when you can sell a 400-pound calf for 607.50, and you can sell those 600-pound steers all day long for 440 or 50. But with that being said, I don't think we're going to see a rebuild back to the cow herd that we did see. It's just not in the cards. Because of the aging rancher population, because of so much of this land being not destocked but half stocked. So I think what you're going to see is some growth. I mean, there definitely going to be some growth, especially if Mother Nature cooperates. But that's where I was going with this. To answer that question, you have to have two things answered solidly, and that is feed costs, drought, and demand. If demand stays where it is now, we start getting more moisture, feed costs stay the same, we'll definitely see some expansion quickly. But if we have more drought, we see demand go down a little bit, we're not going to expand too very fast, I don't think. So there's three variables you have to look at.
Well, again, those are some big points that I talked about recently with Don Close with Terrain, touching on those very issues as well. So I encourage folks, go back to that podcast and videocast and see his economic analysis of that. But Ty, before we talk about prices and break down the numbers, we're going to throw in a quick sponsor break, and we'll be back with Ty Thompson right after this.
CattleCon 2026 heads to the heart of Nashville, February 3rd to the 5th. Music City is the place to be for the largest cattle industry event of the year, offering education, networking, and fun. Plus, you can check out the huge NCBA trade show, outstanding entertainment, and more. Go where the beef industry meets. CattleCon 2026 in Music City, downtown Nashville, February 3rd to the 5th. Visit convention.ncba.org for more.
Well, again, we're coming back here today with Northern Livestock Video's Ty Thompson. And Ty, as you sat on the block here today, 33,000 head of cattle, 3,000 head of sheep. We talked about that two dot ranch out of Wyoming, over $2,400 for 4-weight steers. It was fun to watch that aspect of things. But overall, what were those steer and heifer trends, and maybe also that replacement heifer market as well here today?
Yeah, I'd say the calves on a whole were, I mean, it sounds a little out of line to say, but we could have been $30 a hundred higher than our July sale across the board in a lot of spots. I mean, it was just strong all the way through. One thing we've had since June is we have just sold all these cattle forward so much that these August video sales are small all across the country. People are looking for a smaller auction yard run this fall. So it's created some enthusiasm to buy them. So I'd say across the board, we were $20 to $30 a hundred higher, which seems crazy, but it definitely was that. You know, the high 4-weight steers, anything that could deliver late to go to grass, high 4-weight steers were into the fives, had some wean steers up to 5 1/4, weighing 500 pounds. Then we get into them. We had a lot of the 550 weight steers, a good number of those, and they would all kind of trade in that 435 to 455. A few sets that were green enough and late enough would bring in the mid 460s on a 550 pound steer. A lot of 600 pound steers, 425, 3 or 4 strings of them up to 451 or 2, one set to 459. The 6.5 weight steers, we sold a lot of them in the 420 to 30 range, but we even had some of those cattle up to 440. So there's demand on all weight levels, all classes, all delivery dates. If you ask me what delivery date is better or what weight class is better, you could not tell. They were buying all delivery dates and all kinds. The heifer market was very strong. We did see a lot of replacement activity. Of course, this is a sale where Joe puts together that section of replacement quality heifers. We had about 58 lots of them. and lots of demand on them. And a lot of them went as replacements, but they were true replacements. And a lot of them went as replacements. 2,400, 2,350 on the 4 and low 5 weights, 2,400 on the low 5 weights, and then all the way up to 2,700 on them 575 to 6 1/4 weight. It would take you 24 and a half, 2,500 to buy any kind of really good heifer with size and quality.
And that was going to be my next question, and you answered it there. Just who was buying those replacement quality females? Obviously, the last sale, you've been around TikTok and Instagram talking about how feeders were out competing those ranchers looking for replacement qualities, but obviously the prices were right, but a lot of those going to producers.
Yeah, we thought we were selling them replacement type heifers pretty high in July, and I mentioned that it was interesting the feeders were taking them out. Well, we had enough replacement activity today that it knocked most of the feeders out. Most of those heifers went back to breeding programs today. And we got into the yearlings. The yearling sale was unbelievable. We had some 8 1/4 weight NHTC steers bring 385, 386, 900-pound steers in Nebraska, 365. Heifer trade, 760-pound heifers bring 357 with no programs. 900-pound heifers, 335, 340, 341. Just tremendous demand on the yearlings.
Well, again, a lot of activity there too, and there were some bred cattle at the end of the sale. What were they shaping up to be? I saw some bred heifers and some younger cattle sell as well.
Yeah, we had 5 lots of bred heifers. We had one lot of bred heifers bring 3,900, another lot bring 3,700, some young cows 37, 3,800. Not a super real test of the market because it's so early. So many ranchers, don't have their feed in line. They don't have their calf check in the bank. I really, truly believe you'll see that bred cattle market come December ahead of the first of the year, take quite a jump from what we did today.
My conversation with Don Close here recently, he anticipates up to $5,000, depending on what that market brings for those bred heifers. The Diamond Ring, that'll be a big sale as well there in Billings. It's going to be interesting sharing those prices, Ty, in a few months, excuse me.
Yeah, we say it every month. It's just higher. We're in unprecedented times, and I just encourage people to improve on their genetics, take care of their ranch, take care of some of this money. Don't be afraid to pay a little bit of tax and go forward. But I think we're in pretty good times here for a bit. And even if we drop off, hell, $30, $40, $100, we're still going to be all right. So we're setting pretty good. And I'm so happy for all of our customers that are involved in it.
Now, Ty, my last area too, we did see about 3,000 head of sheep offered here today, some feeder lambs selling there. We know that market has been struggling just a bit. What has that sentiment been in the countryside? Obviously, we're about $100 or so off what the Australian market is bringing right now on a per head basis, maybe even a little bit more. What's your take currently on the U.S. lamb and sheep industry?
I usually pride myself in being pretty honest, so I'm going to be pretty honest with you. I don't know a heck of a lot about the sheep industry, and I don't follow it, but I can tell you what they brought today. 75-pound lambs up to 225. The bigger lambs, 90 to 110-pound lambs, were in the 180s and low 190s. Seemed like there was fairly good demand, but I don't follow the sheep industry close enough to give you an accurate synopsis of what's coming down the pipe or what has happened.
Well, I guess I'll have to get Bob Cook on to talk about the sheep market. Maybe.
Yes, and Bob, we had Bob's 50th anniversary party yesterday, so he'll be ready to talk to you.
Well, again, Ty Thompson joining us. Excuse me, the cattle prices took my breath away there. Ty Thompson, thanks for joining us. Again, just maybe a reminder for our folks that next Northern Livestock Video Auction, that's coming up September 15th. Is that correct? When's consignment for that?
Yeah, it's September 15th, and we will take consignments all the way up to the very end of the month. I think it's listed as the 29th. We can take them all the way up to the 31st for the paper contract, do the videoing after that. We'll have quite a few more bred cattle on that sale, be lighter on the yearlings, but we should have a decent amount of calves. If you do have calves and yearlings left to market, this demand, as we mentioned, is unprecedented and it keeps going, and we sure will have room on that sale. Just get a hold of us by the end of August.
Well, again, Ty Thompson, Northern Livestock Video Auction, joining us. Thanks for the chat, Ty.
Yeah, appreciate you, Lane. Thank you.
With that, friends, thanks for tagging along here as we discuss some of these cattle markets on the Lanecast Ag Podcast. I'm Lane Nordlund. We'll catch you next time.
Thank you for tuning in to the Lanecast with Talkin' Ag, Lane Nordlund. Don't forget to subscribe to the Lanecast on your Apple or Android devices. We look forward to joining you next time on the Lanecast.